2018, a couple took a short hike to a mountain overlook in North Carolina. They took 2 photos, hiked back, went home. That night, they looked at their pictures and saw a man standing right behind them. They knew absolutely no one had been there. At first, they thought the man's strange gesture meant he was pointing at one of them, but months later, they realized he wasn't pointing at them at all. This video contains scenes that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Rachel and Evan had been together 4 years. They weren't thrill seekers, just weekend hikers who liked good views and being home before dark. They lived in Asheville, North Carolina, surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains. Evan was the planner. Rachel was the one who made it fun. They had a tradition. Whenever they reached a big view, they'd take 2 photos, one smiling, one goofy, and then argue over who looked worse. One July morning, Evan suggested Eagle's Rest, an easy 2-mile hike to a cliffside overlook. The weather was set to be perfect. Almost no one was ever on the trail. A great setting for them to just enjoy each other's company outside of their busy careers. They packed water, sandwiches, and a bag of trail mix Rachel swore she'd save for halfway. She didn't. The drive was light and warm, windows down, green hills rolling past. At the gravel lot, only one other car. Evan signed the trail register. The last entry was almost 2 hours old. The trail was a summer tunnel of green, cicadas droning, sun flickering through leaves. 10 minutes in, Rachel stopped. Did you hear that? A faint snap somewhere behind them, but no one was there. Probably a curious squirrel, Rachel thought as they kept making their way up the trail. They passed an older couple hiking out. They stopped exchanging pleasantries before continuing on. As the older couple disappeared around a bend, Rachel looked at Evan and said, "You know that's going to be us in 40 years, right?" Evan just smiled and replied, "I hope so." The forest felt quieter. A half-mile later, they saw an old wooden post with a rusted plaque. Most of the words were gone, but one line was still sharp. "Be aware, this sign was here for a very specific reason," as the overlook sat on a rock ledge with a drop-off of around 3,000 feet to the bottom. No fences, no rails. If a hiker got too close, lost balance and fell, it would be fatal. The view at Eagle's Rest was wide open and perfect. Mountains rolling away for miles, air warm and still. They ate, laughed, and then Evan set his phone on a mini tripod for their tradition 3-second timer. He walked over, wrapped his arm around Rachel. Click. They checked the first photo, fine. Took a second, just in case. As they started packing up, Evan spotted a blue jay in some branches and quickly snapped a photo of it in the tree line, and they started making their way back down the trail. The perfect end to a perfect day. That night, while Evan cooked dinner, Rachel scrolled through the day's pictures. First overlook photo was perfect. Second photo, she froze. Behind them, 10 feet back, was a man. Tall, thin, dressed in dark, old-fashioned clothes, skin pale, hair slicked back, expression blank, except for one detail. His head was turned slightly toward Rachel, and his left arm was raised, pointing. Rachel's stomach turned. "Evan, he's pointing at me." Evan looked. His face went white. There was no one there. They'd been alone for 30 minutes at that overlook. You can see anyone approaching. It's all exposed rock, and the spot where the man stood in the photo, just inches from a sheer drop-off. The pointing made it worse. Rachel couldn't stop staring at it. It wasn't casual. It looked deliberate, personal. The next day, Evan could not get over what he was looking at. He could not, for the life of him, remember people being at the overlook. Evan knew things just were not adding up, and knew they had to go back to investigate. Rachel was admittedly against it, but reluctantly agreed, so they made the hike back to Eagle's Rest. Once there, Evan wasted no time setting the tripod back in the same exact spot to recreate the shot the best he could. What he found made his blood run cold. Where the man should have been standing would have put him nearly an inch from the edge. Evan, realizing this unknown man could have possibly fallen to his death, looked at Rachel, his voice trembling with fear. "We need to go get help. Now." As they raced back down the trail as fast as they could, back at the trailhead, they spoke to a park ranger and explained everything. As the park ranger listened intently until Evan finished speaking, the ranger informed them that no one was unaccounted for. Rachel showed him the photo, pleading, "We have the proof. Someone was there yesterday." The ranger tried to calm their fears and said only one person had ever fallen from that exact ledge, and it happened in the 1930s. Witnesses claimed he'd been trying to shout something right before he vanished, but the body was never found. He reassured them that no one was missing, but they couldn't shake the image. Friends suggested tricks of light or double exposure, but the pointing hand, that didn't feel like an accident. Rachel kept saying, "Why was he pointing at me?" Months later, Rachel showed the picture to a co-worker, zoomed in on the man's face as she did. Something in the photo caught her eye. The photo consumed Rachel's thoughts as she began to pull up all the photos from that day, stopping at a photo of a blue jay. When she saw it, Rachel's hands went cold. Standing feet away in the tree line was a figure, tall, emaciated, limbs too long, bent wrong, skin gray and tight over bone. No lips, just teeth, jagged and uneven. Head tilted in an unnatural angle, eyes dull yellow, staring into the lens. Rachel showed it to Evan as soon as she got home. He stared at it, then whispered, "Oh God." That's what he was pointing at. The man in the photo hadn't been pointing at Rachel. He'd been pointing through her at what was standing directly in front of her. And the angle of his head, the tension in his posture, it wasn't threatening, it was desperate, like he was trying to tell them to look out. Rachel says the scariest part isn't the creature by the tripod. It's realizing that the stranger on the cliff wasn't the threat at all. He was the only one who knew it was there, the only one who saw it coming for them. And in the instant before the shutter clicked, he wasn't trying to frighten them, he was trying to save them. Maybe he'd been through it himself. Maybe that thing had taken him decades ago. Maybe pointing was the only warning he could give before it was too late. They'll never know his name or how he ended up on that cliff, but they both agree on one thing. Whatever kept that creature from taking them that day, they owe it to the man in the photograph. Rachel says that photo isn't just a memory, it's a debt, because if the man on that cliff hadn't been there, she's not sure she or Evan would have made it back down the trail. So, to the man in the photograph, whoever you are, wherever you are, thank you. You might be the reason they're still here to tell the story. And maybe that's why the picture feels heavier than it should, because it's not just a record of that day. It's proof that sometimes the only thing standing between you and the dark is someone you'll never meet. If you made it this far, you're officially one of us. We tell true, creepy and mysterious stories just like this every week. So if you don't want to miss the next one, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. And if this story got under your skin, drop a comment below and tell me, what would you have done if you were there? I read them all, and some of your theories are even creepier than the stories themselves. Thanks for watching, and remember, not every mystery wants to be solved.